Well, let's kickstart the show by having the trivia question where we answer last week's question that we asked you. Last week, we asked you about the Black Stars of Ghana. Now, in this edition, they were knocked out for a second consecutive AFCON tournament from the group stages. The question that we had for you was, when was the last time that they failed to make it past the group stages in the Africa Cup of Nations? But you know, I believe in teamwork. I'm with Brian Mofokeng, who has the answers to everything that's got to do with African football. My dear sir, good day.
Itumeleng.
Like,
You well?
I'm good. How are you?
No, Baruch so
That is it. That is
you
it.
can't complain at all. I think you just got to be blessed and that you're actually around here. That's all
Yeah.
that matters. The biggest thing. I mean, I was in a watch along during the course of the week, and Junior, our stylist, was there as well. Not a happy man, I have to say.
Yeah, because he's from Ghana.
Ghana getting knocked out so early once again. I mean, in 2006 in Egypt, they were knocked out in the group stages again, and the biggest talking point from a Ghanaian point of view was Dede Ayew, him getting to play 36 matches, tying Rewa's song for the most matches played at the AFCON tournament. Had they gone a step further, they'd actually probably have broken the record.
Yeah.
But they were knocked out in the group stages. So if he said 2006, well done.
Well, 2006 was the last time that the Black Stars of Ghana were knocked out from the group stages of the Africa Cup of Nations. But we want you to put your thinking caps on yet again, because we have another question lined up for you. Now, this one is really, really important, and I think it's one that we're going to have to remember for years to come. We are asking you about penalties. What we want to know from you is, in this current edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, we have reached a new record of penalties that have been converted, but this is excluding the shootouts before the quarterfinals. We want to know from you, how many penalties have been scored in this edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, excluding the shootouts all the way until the quarterfinals.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Right?
You know why I'm saying that? Because people have to remember now and think back to say, okay, this is the number that is scored.
Yes.
Okay? So now, our question now, to add to that, to actually make it nicer even, is to say, would this be in the record? What was the previous record? Just so you can play along to show us your story.
Okay.
Tell us, okay, this is the record at the moment.
Okay.
Ahead of us getting into the quarters. As the quarters already were played already. But I'm saying after the last 16 round, this is the record we're sitting on now. You need to tell us what was the previous record and what is the current record after the last 16 matches besides the shootouts.
Alrighty. That is the trivia question for this week. So if you think you know the answers, make sure that you interact with us and use it as hashtag Fut-Afrique. Let us know how many penalties have been scored in this edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, excluding the shootouts, but also what was the record that was held before this edition. Now, the Africa Cup of Nations, especially this edition, is one of upsets, one of surprises, and one would also say a bit of juju is being used, right? The stars such as Percy Tau and Sue, as well as Ashraf Hakimi, have joined the list of people who have missed their penalties. And man, oh man, the round of 16 was heated, unpredictable. And I mean, if you are someone, I don't know if you watch Game On, if you're someone who bets and you got things right, then shout out to you. You should possibly play the lotto as well.
No, Chase, seriously. I mean, we always knew there was going to be drama.
Yeah.
But nobody anticipated what was going to happen because we are shocked. I mean, I was here for a watch along to watch the game between Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
And I remember that day I said Cote d'Ivoire will score a goal. But I didn't say they're going to win. I said they will score a goal.
Yeah.
They found the equalizer. But you got to talk about a difference between today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the difference between a coach today and a coach tomorrow.
I wanted to get into that, right, Brian, because I think when we talk about Cote d'Ivoire, particularly in this competition, there's so much that is working against them, right? But they are literally defying all the odds. First of all, they win their first match. Tensions are high and everyone is excited. Then they go down for their next two matches. Then they lose their coach. And then the president comes through and says, listen, dying spirit is not what we are.
Yeah. But also, I mean, there's something very important that happened in between there. After losing their coach, they were literally knocked out.
Yes. They had to wait until the last game.
And DR Congo, in fact, it was on DR Congo playing the same time, and Morocco were playing against Zambia.
Yeah.
All Zambia needed was a draw on the day.
Morocco did them a favor.
And Morocco did them a huge favor for them to
Absolutely.
advance. And then the coach comes in, which is the under-23 coach. That's the man that took over. That is MS5,
Yeah.
who was part of the technical team for Cote d'Ivoire anyway. He was assistant coach to the then man who was in charge. When he left, they said, okay, come in, let's see what you can do. He's a man that's been around. I mean, he was there at a few AFCON tournaments. 2010 FIFA World Cup was there, so he's got a massive experience around the structure of the team itself. He made some changes, tweaked some players, brought in some players. I mean, Seri had a wonderful game. Hence the man of the match performance overall. You know, to put Frank Casey on the bench, bringing in a Sap in a second half or something else, you know. To start with Kraso, yes, Kraso has been a starter, but when he pulled out Kraso and brought on Pepe into the field of play, he brought on Hala into the field of play, the game changed just like that.
And that was in the second half, right? That was in the second
Everything
half.
changed.
Everything changed, and that's one thing that has been the strength of Cote d'Ivoire. But I want to know from you, what does it take for a team to be mentally strong when everything like this is happening within the team?
What I love about it, in fact, this is something that we've been talking about, to say, there's been a lot of criticism around players who are not born in their countries.
Yeah.
But one players can start thinking about the people they're playing this tournament for. That's all that matters.
Well, that is the Elephants. The massive, mighty, majestic Ivorians are literally doing it for their country. Here they are, they booked their spot into the quarterfinals, which means that they've made it into the last 8. Senegal, who are the defending champions, have crashed out. That was a much anticipated encounter, but we get to dissect so much more when we return.